Sometime last year, Tovarish Works gave me a cheap Chinese D2 knife to review on this channel. And the Knife Nut podcast dudes are like, boop, at the sound of Chinese D2. That's my erection sound, by the way. Oh yeah, complete the thought. Since I am a complete jerk and it took me like 6 months or some shit to finally review this knife like I promised Tovarish Works I would, you're like, what the hell's a Tovarish Works? Good question. He's a fellow YouTuber and Instagrammer that I collaborated with last year who really doesn't like Chinese knives but the expensive non-production custom Instagram knives that I can't afford. So follow him for a fix in opulence. The Bestech line is, as far as I know, an original design, cheapish Chinese knife. I arrived at this conclusion primarily because Blade HQ sells it, and they also sell Spyderco's and Microtechs. So let's look at the dimensions of this budget beauty? Can I say beauty? No, not really. Like the overall length and weight. The blade size and the cutting edge. I'm not really calling it ugly. Handle size and grip area. Sprite thickness and handle thickness. My autocorrect and text edit converted spine to sprite for corporate sponsorship. Tallness and flipper protrusion. Alright, so the Bestech line, like its namesake spirit animal, is green and a knife. Oh, I guess. Okay. Well, it's probably called the Lion because they heard the name Lion Steel, and Lion sounds extremely tactical. The Bestech line, according to some description, is a clip point style blade. It looks more like a drop point to me, but who gives a shit? It's made from a Chinese D2 steel, with a little bit of a stone wash and a lot of satin finish. The blade also has a flat grind and is sharp out the box. Blade centering is alright, certainly on par with the Kaiser Sheepdog I recently reviewed. Not perfect, but also this knife isn't $200, and it's not also called a Benchmade, which would cause people to scrutinize it more. The blade pivots on a ball bearing system that's fairly smooth, but has a tiny bit of creakiness to it, and the flipper is a little edgy. So not as friendly to long-term fidgeting as is the smooth tab on the Kaiser Sheepdog. Remember, manufacturers, like they're listening, there are smooth flippers that don't wear on the fingers. That little bit of inward curve on the Bestech wears more on the finger than the more ergonomic curve away from the fingertip on the Kaiser. And they both deploy the same. One doesn't give you much more friction. Like, just because the Kaiser is smoother doesn't mean that it is harder to deploy. It doesn't look like much, but it feels better. So there's a little creakiness to the deployment and the disengagement on the line, but it still deploys consistently with just a little bit of effort. The lockup is handled by a liner lock. It's an okay disengage, however, and I know I keep coming back to it, but the frame lock on the Kaiser is an easier and smoother disengage because of just the area right here where you put your finger to disengage it. Despite the lock bar being thicker, it's actually easier to disengage than the thinner liner. While I don't necessarily like the weightier feel and the basic blade shape of that knife, it is much more refined as a Chinese-made flipper. You pay for it in the price, though. The handle on this is comprised of 2 slabs of G10 screwed on top of a stainless steel skeletonized liner, featuring a mostly open back design with a backspacer, with a lanyard hole for paracord and your skull bead. The G10 is smooth but not too slick, and the finger pivot groove up front keeps it in the hand when cutting. You know, you can move it around like this. The handle is a good size with some room to spare for my hands or slightly larger ones. D10 is strong, but it can be opened by flinging it downward with only the mightiest and most precise of flings, like a knife channel guy would know. The pocket clip is removable, but not movable. Tip up, blade backward in the right pocket is where you might find it. The pocket clip is very tight and stainless steel. I prefer a little more spring in the pocket clip, as this one slides in the pocket a little less easy than my Spyderco's, so it could wear on thinner pocket material. It's not sharp, but it's tight. Alright, the comparison section. First, the Kaiser Sheepdog. I know not super similar other than Chinese flippers, but it's worth admiring the smoothness of the ergonomics and also the smoothness of the lockup and the smoothness of the smooth disengagement. Sorry, like the president, a wide variety of adjectives are not really my strong suit. Not that the line is bad, but the Kaiser is better, or more better in those areas. Now the purple knife, you know, the TC4 one. And by the way, the comments are still rolling in about how TC4 is the, quote, grade of titanium. Cool. It's smoother too, much lighter. So if you're looking for a nice Chinese D2 knife that is lighter, this purple knife is the tits. Or maybe more like moobs, depending on how you look at it. Okay, paramilitary 2. A good everyday carry. You've seen this so much, I know you don't care, but I include this because it's a well-known knife, and it helps you establish how it looks in the hands. If for some reason you already own the paramilitary 2 and are interested in a cheaper Chinese knife brand you've never heard of. Okay, how about a Gonzo? Gonzo, I hardly knew yo. I think this is the G739 or something. I reviewed this one so long ago. Quality is actually about the same as the Bestech, and this knife is under $20. $50 versus $20, and about the same blade size and weight range. Although something is rattling on the inside of this one. I think I batoned with it. Did I baton with it? I don't know. I'm not going to go look at the review. So that's about it, right? The Bestech line is nice. I am so much more used to sub $25 Chinese knives, so I can't really say if the full $50 is worth it. I guess I can say it. I don't feel like it's worth the full $50. I mean, it does have the quote D2 steel, and it isn't a ripoff like a Gonzo. I forgot which knife the G739 you saw earlier rips off, but, you know, I don't have the motivation to look it up. Maybe you do. Please, if you do anything else today other than look at internet porn, subscribe to Tovarish Works Knife Porn YouTube channel and Instagram. Follow me on both of these too. There might be some giveaways on Instagram of certain knives. Absolutely no promises of which knives or how many I give away, as I prefer to get my subscribers through bad jokes and batoning instead of cheap gimmicks. Baton through that like button. Leave a comment about how the name of this knife is actually a large carnivorous land animal. I'm not sure if you knew that, Advanced Knife Bro, or cared. And for you fans of Chinese D2 steel, boop, thanks for watching.